Welcome back to another edition of Real Spiritual Talk Radio. I am your host, Lamont Gates, once again bringing you the world of faith, metaphysicality, and spirituality. Today, my guest had an experience that seemed to defy the material reality he was accustomed to. Joining me, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from India is Dr. Santosh K.M. Dr. Santosh, welcome to Real Spiritual Talk Radio.
Yeah, thank you, Lamont Gates. I'm privileged to be here uh, with you online and discuss my NDE. And first of all, I thank you and also the Almighty because of the Supreme, the Creator of the universe. I could get this experience, miraculous experience, very rarely people used to get. So because of that, I could afterlife and all that I could research and I could make the publication. Apart from my scientific life and all that, for the decades of life I lived in scientific way. You know that after completion of my post graduation and all that, I did my doctorate and PhD and all that. So I was in that line, and a transition happened after this, and I could search on afterlife. So a lot of new contacts and communities and so many things, new things are arising in my life. So that is because of Almighty. So thank God.
Absolutely. And speaking of the Almighty and God, why don't we start right there? Before we get into your near-death experience, why don't you talk to us a bit about your religious and or spiritual upbringing, or if you had any religion or spiritual practices prior to your near-death experience?
Yes, as far as my religious concern, my aspect is concerned, I born in Hindu religion, and I was not very much fond of any religious aspects and all that. And my parents were also. My father was somewhat. He was pious in doing worshipping and all that, but I used to neglect all those things. I just used to live in a way that I'll do things and all that. I will worship, but not in a very sensitive way and all that. So that was my background. And prior to this happening, I had some knowledge about the Yoganandas. I read a book that is Autobiography of Yogi. The incident happened that time in the train. I was reading this. Prior to that, I read this book. In that, a chapter about afterlife that is discussed. So I got new thing. I got interested in all that. I read that chapter that discuss about the realms of afterlife and all that.
Yeah, so it sounds like you weren't very religiously observant as your parents were. You were kind of the wayward person when it came to religion. So, with that said, why don't we talk about how your near death experience actually occurred? I know you said it happened on the train, and while you were on this train, you were actually reading a book about a chapter about the afterlife. Talk to us now about how your near death experience actually happened.
Actually, I was performing a journey from my workplace, that is Ernakulam, and to my native was Kannur. It is hardly 300 kilometers. So after performing one third of my journey, I got a side seat near to the window, and just past a station called Calicut. So what happened was the side window. It is sliding sort of window, and there was a latching and a sort of mechanism and all that. So this heavy, this window that is, that it is lifted up. It is heavy glass, made of glass and all that. It was not latched properly, and there is a spring mechanism. This hold its weight and all that. But I think that is broken, that spring mechanism and all that. It was not properly latched. So what happened? It this fell on my elbow. I was resting my arm on left arm on this one window. So huge hit on my elbow, and I got a small wound. It is a small wound, and bleeded. It was bleeding in the sense that the blood came out, and I never had such a pain in my life. So uh, I was struggling. I stood up and started struggling. Then co-passengers asked, "What happened to you?" So this is a small wound and all that. It is, blood is coming anyway. So they helped me. I gave the kerchief and they tied. They helped me to tied it, and then I felt very thirsty. Then I asked. I told them before that I can't bear this pain. I do not know severe pain, and. Then I asked them to get the sip of water. The water was the water bottle. I showed them my water bottle is just sip of water. Then I had it, and that only I remember. Then all the scenes inside the train were gone, and I felt like initially some darkness or gray, like sort of pillars or something. I observed people used to say that tunnel and all that maybe. I couldn't actually. It was an embarrassing situation. I do not know what happened. Then I felt like a great journey. Then I could see that my there was a horizon sort of thing with light and all that bright light, just like this world, horizon and bright light. Then I understood that something happened to me, and there was no body consciousness, but perception was widened and all that. And afterwards, I thought something happened. It is death. So I may not be able to go back to the earthly realm. And then all of a sudden, I have been brought to a world. You can say that it is just like a snow field. It is the realm is full of snow, like feeling I had. And when I reached the, I could see that a great difference where my consciousness was there, just like me. I was in front of a building or something. Some great difference was there. I could not recognize it, and there was some decision making to enter into that or something like that. I did not get permission or something like that. Then afterwards, within fraction of seconds, I had been brought to another place. It is just like hilly place, and it looks like a high range or something, you can say. So there also fraction of second, I was viewing all this things. I do not recognize what is this and all that, and there was no fear and all that. Great pleasure I had, and obviously it has happened an embarrassing situation. I couldn't feel any sort of my body and all that, but as such I have consciousness. Then afterwards. Another place I have been shifted to another place. It is moving like the all of a sudden came to another world. It is full of flowers. It is a field of flowers. You can say that it is yellowish, fully yellowish, that field is full of yellowish flowers. And I could see that the light is not like bright light and all that. It is sunset time. We perceive some sort of reddish, sort of gray type of shape. Similar feeling I had. So then there was nobody and all that. It is vast, and I thought, what I will do here, and I surprised. Then I thought of my family, especially my younger daughter, and all that. I have some. She was around 2.5 years old, and some affection and all that. And also, I used to do some sort of charity and all that. Some people used to give some clothing, dress, and all that in society. We used to distribute, and for that purpose, I was coming back to the native. Every weekend, I used to come. So there was some sort of program and all. I thought of all those people and all our society and my native place and all that. By that time, what happened was all of a sudden the consciousness came to my body, and I was inside the train all of a sudden. This happened 3 minutes maximum, I think. So in the train, there was a huge crowd. It was crowded with train officials and all that. Superintendent of train came, and ticket checker also was there with files and all that, and co-passengers and so many people. Then this officials, they asked about my whereabouts and all that. All of a sudden, the contact number of residents and all the details. And they asked, "Are you all right?" As we informed the other next station to make the ambulance ready and all that. So almost collapsed. Actually, I did not know what from their face. I could find that some astonishment because of some sort of because they never expected, they never expect such a walk up from my side, because they almost confirmed that I am died, because pulses were gone down, and they informed because of that. I came to know from the co-passengers only. Then officials said, "Crowd, you move your respective seats, because let him take rest." So they arranged, and finally I took rest. By that time, the co passengers explained me that you were about, after taking the sip of water, you were about to collapse. That you finally, I was in a sitting posture, so they all hold me, and finally I was struggling for breathing and all that. So they thought that I got a cardiac arrest, that is a severe cardiac arrest, and because of this effect and all that. Then they tried to punch and all that on one lady was there. She's some basic nurse or something, health background. So and the other people, they tried level best, and they said the pulses were almost gone. So they confirmed that there is no tracing back, getting back and all that. It was difficult. By that time, they informed all the people, and that was the scenario inside the train, and they explained that. Then I explained them what happened within that minutes. Then they in great astonishment, they asked many things. What are the things which you visualized and all that? So when the train reached my place, Kannur, then train ticket examiner accompanied me to the railway station. There is beside that there is a hospital. I didn't know all those things. There is the facilities and all that. So they took me to that hospital. There was a doctor was not there. It was lunch time, and the assistant, she's a assistant. She took all the pressure, BP, all the tests, and they made this one dressing and all that for the wound and all that. Then I came out, and this examiner also asked about the details and all that. He was curious, and then I came out from the railway station, seeing all the people and all that. Then I thought, this how this mass, they doesn't know anything about afterlife and all that. I got an experience and all that, and walking on the street, I just it was I never imagined, and I never thought of coming back to earthly realm, and it's a gift from the God. So that was my experience, and I came back home, and I started telling about this incident to my wife. So she was scared, and she said, "It is I'm scared, and it may be a hallucination or something, maybe," and all that. So I tried to convince to many people. One of my close friends, I called him, and I narrated. I told him that this has happened. Then he also, the response was same. So don't tell others, because they feel bad about you. You are not like that and all that. Then I called my close relative and called, "I want to meet you in person." So next day he came, and I started telling all the stories. He was telling me what happened. Don't disclose to anybody. This is people may think that you are something, you will become what is it, jockey, and so better keep quiet. So then I kept quiet. So that was the episode, and after that, something happened that I will tell you. Can I proceed further? Okay.
Sure. Actually, I have a few questions before you proceed further, if you don't mind. It seems to me that I don't know what it was that actually caused you to black out, but was there a lot of blood on the scene? It seems like you lost a lot of blood.
Yeah. This incident led me to explore more about afterlife. So then onwards, I started gathering all the information about afterlife. So that is not religious perspective and all that. So I did not concentrate on single religion and all that. So all the respective of religion, I concentrated, and Christianity, Hinduism, uh, Islam, and all this religious context, there are afterlife. And then I started reading, irrespective of religion, all the contexts of all the texts, scriptures, and all that related to it. And finally, I could find that many contexts, those are all interrelated. So the Hinduism is telling something, and Christian belief is something different, but they are all saying about the afterlife is there. Then I realized that the world we are facing here, a lot of problems, war and sort of things, and killing, cruelty, and all sort of things are happening. People doesn't know about afterlife. They think that this is the last episode of life. So I thought I should do some sort of message should be given, so that you see, a lot of suicides are happening, the teenagers and all that, committing suicide and drug overdose and all that. People are dying, so they doesn't know about the afterlife, God, and all sort of things. So I got all this information, and then I used to pray to the Almighty. That time, one day evening, I was praying in my prayer room. The one single room is kept for prayer. So I was praying to the Almighty, and at that time I asked the God, um, see, I have a lot of information regarding the afterlife. So should I give this knowledge to the rest of the to the world? Then due to my really surprised that my little girl daughter, she was 3 years old that time. She entered into my prayer room with a writing pad with a paper and a pencil, and asked me that you write. So she said, "You write." She gave to me, and she told me that you write, and left immediately. It was an embarrassing situation. I just asked the God about this, and immediately. So this gave me the encouragement to write this book.
Yeah, and one thing you said I wholeheartedly agree with concerning all of the different religions. One thing that interconnects all of them is their unity concerning an afterlife, right? Something higher than them, a different realm, a higher realm that exists above this earthly realm. Why don't you tell us the name of your book again, and why don't you also explain? I know you're a PhD in oceanography. How did this impact your work as a scientist?
Yeah, as far as my book is concerned, this is my book, and the book title is "The Miracle of Life After Death," a scientific and spiritual investigation, and it is revised. And those who have read in the first book, the last chapters, I am not satisfied, and now this is, I think this is fine. And as far as the research is concerned, in my teaching and guiding and all that, that research is different area. So I make a balance, because otherwise the one area will collapse and the other area, the science has prominence, and research and all that. That also indirectly we can say that we are doing all this sort of research and all that to get the life better. So, and this afterlife mystical sort of things that also enhance the people to look on to afterlife so that they will improve. So they will get some new knowledge so they can get a peace of mind in life. So that is very important as far as human being is concerned.
And I really like the fact that you are talking about balancing between the earthly and the spiritual realm. Even though there is a hardcore belief by many people who practice religion and an experience by near death experiencers such as yourself concerning an afterlife existing, we still also exist here in the earthly realm. And so we got to be even keeled and mindful that we have both feet on the earthly ground, but at the same time knowing that there's something much more higher than this. And with that said, why don't you tell us where we can find your book?
Yeah, my book is in Amazon, and this title, if they can type, they will get it in Amazon.com. It is available, and type the title, "The Miracle of Life After Death," that will come.
And with that said, Dr. Santosh, I want to thank you for coming on Real Spiritual Talk Radio and sharing with us your fascinating account.
Thank you, Gates. And it is very accidental that you communicated, and somehow I saw your videos and all that. It was fascinating, and finally I agreed. And it is a great work you are doing. All the best wishes from my side, and you are also doing a very good deed. God will bless you. Thanks a lot for being with you. Such an opportunity you have given for me. I'm thankful to you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Santosh K.M.